Ooh, good timing. All right.
I'm on my laptop.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? My name is Rob St. Clair. That's Everett Delorme. Welcome to the 9 by 9 volleyball show. It is Wednesday, April 6th. Everett's stressing because he just walked in back from work and then his computer didn't work. So we're rolling with the punches a day later than usual. Thank you all for being flexible with us. This is the 81 square meters of the best volleyball content on the internet, despite some of the issues. But we've got a lot to get over. Everett, welcome back, buddy. How is everything right now? A little
Thank you.
stressed?
Just a little bit. Tuning in to see if Everett can solve his technical difficulties. No, I haven't. Actually, they're getting worse for some reason. I was supposed to work 3 hours today. Ended up working 10. Just got home. Then my computer wasn't working, so now we're on the laptop on AirPods. So I mean, hey, but we're here. We're ready to go. Ready to talk some ball. I'm told there was a golden set today, so yeah, let's jump into it. And I'm stoked. There's been a lot going on. We have some Olympic news, and a few other things from volleyball world. So let's jump into it. Rob, as I just mentioned, I've been at work all day. Have no knowledge of what happened today in the volleyball world. So catch me up a little bit. If there's a golden set, like I need to know this.
As a matter of fact, there was a golden set. Sure enough, Fenerbahce forced a golden set against Vakif at home. They swept them, Everett. Three sets to
Wow,
none.
wow.
25-14, 25-14, 25-14,
What?
25-20, 28-26. Three sets to none to force a golden set, but unfortunately, the upset bid ended there, where Vakif was able to hold on in the golden set, 15-11. This was madness. This was just an incredible match.
That's
Fenerbahce
crazy.
was just clearly the better team today until the golden set, when the experience of Vakif just showed up just a little bit more. I mean, since the last time we did a show, we've had like this entire series has played out, because the first leg was last Thursday, where Vakif won at home 3-1. So after that, the worst they could do is go to a golden set. Sure enough, Fenerbahce pushes them to the limit. Looking at a couple numbers, I thought, just based on the eye test, that Melissa Vargas was tremendous. Yeah, sure enough. 24 for 48. So 50% kills, only 8 errors. Not bad at all. Let's see. Fedorovtseva's numbers: 14 for 33, only 2 errors. That's not bad at all, plus 2 aces. Maliha on the outside, negative efficiency. That's not as good, but that's not really her role. I thought the Ida Erdem was really good, 8 for 10 attacking, plus 2 blocks. Mina Popovic had 4 blocks, so she contributed a little more than usual. I thought Naz set a phenomenal game. The issue with Fenerbahce in the previous leg, when they got beat by Vakif on the road, is that they couldn't pass the ball. But today they were significantly better, 49% positive, 33% perfect, and which is about the same as where Vakif was. And you've at least got to be about equal in that category to have a chance against that team. So Fenerbahce lent a ton of substance to my take that they were going to win this series, and they really almost did. They forced a golden set, but unfortunately, in the golden set, Vakif was just they were just incredible. They made, I think, no errors in the entire golden set. Let me double check that, but they were perfect. They were pretty much perfect. Isabel Hawk, 17 for 42, 6 errors. Definitely not her best game. But Gabi was awesome, particularly in the golden set and later on, because they definitely got stomped the first couple. Fenerbahce's block defense really had a good plan against them early on, and then their side-out offense was better than it was because of better serve receive. But Vakifbank is Vakifbank, and at the end of the day, they were able to survive. It wasn't clean, but they did survive, and now we have the rematch, the third chapter in the last year or so of Vakifbank versus Conegliano for the Champions League final. We saw Conegliano win the first last year in Champions League. Vakifbank won the Club World Championships in the winter, and now the tiebreaker. So,
And this is the tiebreaker too. Before Agona goes to Vakifbank, and
right,
as it's like the worst kept secret in volleyball right now that she's headed to Vakifbank, as Conegliano's already like signed Hawk for next year, right? So it's the end of this rivalry altogether. And I mean, I'm sure it's going to pick up, but if it picks up next year, it's under another form. So this is going to be the rubber series. Now, Rob, obviously you watched the game today. How confident are we that we're going to see Vakifbank from last week instead of Vakifbank from this week? Right, that's a team that's kind of gone up and down, right? Like, do we have confidence that against their number one arch nemesis and their greatest opponent in the world, like, are they going to be able to be up to that task?
That is a great question and a very fair concern for the run that Vakifbank has had in Champions League in the playoffs, because you remember they lost that 5-setter to Zhezhov. They had to respond in a pretty close 4-setter. They really almost were forced their golden set there to advance. Then they get like very thoroughly outplayed at Fenerbahce and have to rescue it in a golden set to advance again. It's not impossible that Conegliano, if they're the better prepared team and they are playing their best and Vakifbank's not, that this finals match that we've all been looking forward to might not be even remotely as close as we all would like it to be. That is entirely dependent on if Vakifbank can show up really, really ready to play. Now they have a month and a half. They have a month and a half to prepare for that. And I think all of the domestic league will be done by then. I think same with Italy. I think they will be ready to go in that match in Slovenia. Again, it's Sunday, May 22nd. It's so ridiculously late. It's crazy.
It's a while from now.
It's crazy.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. It's so long from now. But it's not impossible that Conegliano just thoroughly outplays them because they're better prepared and it's not close. But Vakifbank is Vakifbank, so we'll see.
But at the same time, like, we've seen Conegliano struggle at times this year, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, both teams have gone through these dips where we've kind of questioning them, like, are they actually going to be there? Like, are they going to be able to make it? I mean, both times they've been able to answer the bell. I mean, I think if you're Conegliano, you're much preferring that yours happened earlier in the season, right? And that kind of dead zone where, yeah, sure, Guidetti might say that the season doesn't start until January, but by the time January, February rolls around, it's been a long season for you already, right? So I think you're seeing two teams that have kind of like decided to take their peaks and valleys at different times. But I think you're exactly right. In a month and a half, what is this Vakifbank team going to look like? And are they going to be able to come up with against Conegliano? It'll be interesting to see after a month and a half of National League playoffs.
Right. Yeah, that's a fantastic point. I think last year both teams really didn't have any valleys. Both teams were pretty much untouched until the finals. Conegliano in particular, this year there have been peaks and valleys to both of them. So it's going to make for, I think, even more interesting discussion coming into the finals, because we don't know where those peaks and valleys are going to meet up. Well, last year they were both really playing at the top of their games, and that made it pretty fun too. But we've got well over a month to deliberate that. However, finally we got a golden set in Champions League today, which was just incredibly, incredibly fun. Huge credit to Fenerbahce, by the way. They really were the better team in the actual match itself. It was unfortunate that they couldn't quite keep that together in the golden set, at least for their sake, because of how well they earned the opportunity to have the golden set. They really were just so good earlier. But sure enough, it is Vakifbank that advances, and now we get the matchup that perhaps everybody wanted to see in the finals. So
yeah,
I think
don't you think that like our friends back in Luxembourg at the CEV were not like sweating in their boots with Fenerbahce coming up? I mean, sure, Fenerbahce is still I mean, I'm not going to say it's the same fan base because you would never make that mistake of mistaking, Fenerbahce versus Vakıfbank, but it's two teams from Istanbul, right? It's the same. It's the same base of fans more or less in Turkey, so it would kind of be the same, but it just doesn't have the same impact of what Coniglia and Vakıfbank would be.
Right. Yeah, I think the CEV actually they're fist pumping for sure because they got an incredible
100%.
match today. They got a golden set in the semis, which is as good as like as electric of entertainment as you can ask for. But according to the CEV, I think the correct team won and sets up for a little bit more dramatic of a final. And I think everybody wins in that case. So
Yeah.
speaking of Vakıfbank's opponent in the finals, talking about Conegliano here, the Lega Volley Femminile regular season is over, and Conegliano holds on and gets the #1 seed overall. So we talked about this last week. It was setting up for some drama this past weekend where the teams are going to play their last matches of the regular season. And because of that match last week that we talked about where Novara got swept by Scandici, Conegliano was in the driver's seat. All they had to do was beat a Bergamo team that was desperate to avoid relegation. And they did that. Extra points in the second set, but Conegliano wins that match, and they grab the #1 seed in the playoffs. A bunch of other crazy results. Roma beats Vallafolia in 5, and they played for the second time in only 3 days. But as we'll get to in just a second, they needed 3 points, not 2. Cuneo versus Busto Arsizio didn't end up mattering all that much. But Perugia versus Casalmaggiore, which went 18-16 in the 5th, mattered tremendously. So check this out. We've got the final standings. You see, we've known the 8 playoff teams. We've known the 8 playoff teams in the Italian Women's League for a long time, but the seed matchups now are finalized. You've got Conegliano versus Firenze. That's 1 versus 8. Novara #2 versus Cuneo #7. Monza #3 versus Chieri #6, and then the banger that we're looking forward to, Scandici #4 versus Busto #5. So that's it for the playoffs.
That's maybe a questionable one with the way that Busto's just limping into the playoffs right
they
now.
Are. Look,
this isn't the Busto of last year, and it's not even the Busto of December, right?
No.
Like
You're right.
it's unfortunate, and I mean, like, hey, I'm going to be the first one to take the hit on that too, because I'm pulling for Alexa Gray. She's been having a great season regardless, but there's just not enough around them, and unfortunately, I can't really consider them to be in the running of the top teams anymore. I don't think they're good, unfortunately.
Which is a shame because that series would have been awesome if everybody had been healthy. If Busto literally had a setter on the roster, which they're still scrambling as of this very moment to find somebody to set that team. So, but that's the playoffs, and then unfortunately Roma and Trentino are relegated. They miss it by 1 point. Roma had 2 opportunities against Vallafolia in the last 3 days of the season to escape. They lost 1 in 4. They won the other in 5, and it was not enough. So Roma and Trentino, thanks for participating. Unfortunately, they'll be down.
Grab a cookie on the way out.
Grab a cookie on the way out. Unfortunately, they will be in the A2 division next year. Bergamo survives. And Casalmaggiore and Perugia had kind of I wouldn't say a comfortable cushion, but they had enough of a cushion to not be at tremendous risk that last day of the year. But we all love relegation races, or at least Dan and I certainly do. We were talking about it last week, but
you have a particular fetish for.
I really like it. I really like it. I really like it.
I can't wait until we get into like some heavy relegation races in a few years in the VLA, and then just to see you frothing at the mouth when we're going to be kicking you're going to be kicking teams out of tier 1.
I like it, man. I like the idea that if you're not good enough, you get punished for sucking. I think North American 100%. Sports could use a lot more of that. And I think that it like, I don't know, sometimes in North America, when you're mathematically limited from the playoffs, you stop trying. And if relegation's on the table, you can't do that. I think that makes it really fun. But yeah, that is it.
Imagine the Lakers getting relegated in the NBA.
Oh God,
right?
Could you imagine?
They're not going to the playoffs. They're not getting into the play-ins. They're just getting destroyed. They should have picked up my former Toronto Raptor boy, DeMar DeRozan. He went to
my Chicago Bulls instead.
Exactly. You're welcome. And hey, now the Lakers are out of it. But yeah, like imagine if the Lakers were getting relegated and there was relegation in the NBA. That would be amazing.
That would be
NFL.
That would be amazing. Could you imagine LeBron James getting relegated? Whew. Spicy.
Having to play tier two.
Oh, a man can dream. All right, so that's really about it for the Italian regular season because well, it is over. The playoffs are starting very shortly. Speaking of playoffs in Italy, on to the men's side, we've got three of our semifinalists decided, and it is chalk. Perugia had absolutely no problem with Cisterna in the second leg. They swept them. Lube had no problem with Monza, but to Monza's tremendous credit, they took a set without Jurgi Grozer. So big credit to them there, but unfortunately, their worst possible injury at the worst time. Monza will now be playing for fifth place, and Lube advances. But the two matches that I really want to talk about here are Modena versus Milano, because that was a 5-set barn burner on Sunday. It was absolutely amazing. 15-13 in the fifth. And then, so let's start there and move on to the one series that is still yet to be played, because obviously that's got all the drama. So, were you able to watch some of that Modena Milano series?
I actually watched both of those matches.
Yes,
I watched Modena Milano. I watched Piacenza versus why am I blanking right
Trentino.
now? Versus Trentino. Yeah, it was great. I mean, Modena. Let's start there, because are we going to see this team like take things seriously, right? Like, when are we going to see it? Because it's, man, they just play on such a tightrope. Like this one, I thought it was going to Milano for a few points.
I really thought it was too. I think they had a couple huge opportunities. There was one like mishandled free ball that was kind of a choke, and then Romano hit the ball out of bounds on match point. But in the fifth, like, Milano seemed like they really, really had a chance.
They were pushing at the end there, right? And they just looked dangerous. And Romano like went on that serving run like late in the fifth, very reminiscent of the CEV, champion finals.
Eurovolley, yeah.
And Eurovolley, yeah. And it seemed almost destined to be for a second, but at the end of the day, Modena comes out. I mean, hey, let's the team want to come out. But I wouldn't lie. I wouldn't have minded to see a third game in that series.
Yeah, it would have been fun. It would have been really fun. However, Modena survives and advances. Check this out: 28 stuff blocks combined between the two teams.
Yeah, big. It was a big blocking game.
15 for Milano, 13 for Modena. Irvin Ingapeth was stuffed 7 times, but he responded with 5 block points of his own. I'm Daddy Stankovic, my hero, with 4. Mazzone with 3. For Milano, Leandro Mosca, who got the start over the injured Bartolome Chinese, 5. Like, come on.
That's an even more impressive thing. And I mean, I realized while I was watching the game, but I didn't think about it until now, the fact that Milano did that without Chinese.
Without Chinese, right? Yeah.
So it's...
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, they lose this match in the 5th set by 2 points. You think Bartolome Chinese doesn't make 2 points worth of difference?
He has to get a couple of blocks.
And then it's more of a factor in the offense because Moscow only had 5 attempts the entire match. I think that's a huge game changer. So I give a lot of credit to Milano for fighting this hard without one of the most important players. I know it's a middle, but I mean, it's one of the best middles in the league. Thomas Jeschke, man, 18 for 33, only 2 errors total. Come on.
Dude, I've been loving watching JC this summer and this season. And I mean, I've talked about it before. He's really come into his own and has really stepped into it. And I think a lot of people were expecting Ishikawa to be in that P1 role, but JC has just brought the hammer this year, and he's been passing well too. So yeah, good on him. Like I think do you think part of it has to do with the fact that Taylor Sander isn't around anymore? And he's like, do you not think that kind of like leads into his psyche the fact that he has the ability to be like, I'm one of the top 2 outside hitters for the USA now. Like, I should be starting for a team that should be going to the Olympics, and I'm a key role to that team. Like, let's let LFG, let's go, and let's roll with it.
Interesting take. And something that you and Dan said on the podcast on Friday that I loved and I never thought about is the idea of maybe the USA pulling a Trentino and doing like a 3 outside hitter thing with Jeschke and DeFalco and then Aaron Russell as like the outside opposite hybrid. I kind of love that, to be honest. So that was an interesting idea that you guys had. But yeah, Jeschke, one thing that I'll say about him, because he's my age, he's from Chicago. I've been playing against, I played against him all through high school. What he's always done is always has had his sights set several years in the future and has always made the best move for his career. That includes leaving Loyola a year early to go overseas to play in Resovia because the timing worked out that he needed to make that move to give himself the best chance to make the Olympic team in 2016, and he did. Then after the injuries, he goes back to a bad Verona team just to get himself back into things. He makes the move to Milano and now has kind of reinvented his play style, maybe because of the landscape of the outside hitter spot on the national team now. I wouldn't be that surprised if he's got that in the back of his head. But he has played phenomenally well this year, and despite his team not making it past the quarterfinals, I think he deserves a ton of credit because, I mean, 55% kills and like just a fraction under 50% efficiency in a 5-set do or die match when you're really the guy who's being called upon to hit high balls because we know that like Patry just can't get set the ball in a position where he can succeed. That's an amazing performance for Thomas Jeske. So huge credit to him. Ishikawa, not a bad stat line, 15 for 29. Patry, 10 for 22 with 5, blocked 5 times. But I mean, Poro just can't figure out how to set the poor guy.
But I mean, they're bringing in Romano, and he's getting the job done. You know, it makes me question, like, if they had gone to a game 3, do you play Romano off the hop, right? Mostly
Maybe.
because him and Poro have that connection, right? And he's just able to. He's able to set. I think he's able to set Romano better than his Patry. I mean, no slight against Patry, but I just think it's better.
Well, with the world may never know because that third match in this series will never happen. But Milano will be playing for 5th, so their season's not over yet.
That may be the case for this game, but that's not the case for the next game we're going to talk about. Now, Rob,
I want to talk about a couple Modena numbers first before I move on.
All right, a couple Modena numbers, but like the big one I think is that we got to talk about your boy coming up.
Oh yeah, don't you worry. So for Modena, Daddy Stankovic, a sterling, 5 for 6 with 4 blocks and an ace and no errors of any kind. I just wanted to throw that out there because my hero is doing it again. Ingapet, 16 for 30, blocked 7 times. He hit 0 balls out of bounds. That's nice, but he's got to figure out a way around the block. Nemir, only 11 for 25 with 6 errors, far from his best performance, although he did have 3 aces. Yoandi Leal, 20 for 33 with only 4 errors. He was Modena's best attacker in this one. And then Matsone was just kind of there, as he always is. Rossini didn't pass the ball as horribly as he has all season, so give him credit for that. Leal did pass the ball horribly. So before we move on, Everett, do you think Modena has a chance against Perugia in the semifinals in a best-of-5 match series?
Yes.
You do?
Absolutely. Because the players they have. Right, and like you're telling me that Bruno and Angapeth and Nemir are stoked to be taking on Leon and arguably the best team in the world. Like that's what they signed up for. Sure, they'd rather be doing it in the finals, right? But now they have that conflict in front of them that's going to push them, right? Like every single guy on that team is known to have a big ego. Like if we want to talk about egos of teams, like poor Mazzone, you know, he just kind of floats around. But like in terms of some of the, like you got some of the biggest names in the sport. Those are all 5-star guys, like hands down. Like if there's volleyball games, those are all 90s. Okay, maybe he's not Stankovic anymore. Like he's like a solid 88, just because of the age. You know, he used to be like a 92, 93, but now he's at like an 88 because of his age, right?
He gets about 69 extra daddy points from me. I love that,
it's
man.
Like, and it's like in the same way that, the Lakers didn't make the playoffs, but are you telling me that LeBron gets healthy and AD is healthy that you want to see them in the playoffs? Hell no, right? Because they have those guys who have that pedigree and have that ability to turn it on, right? But like that's my question is though, with as many guys hitting terribly as we've seen, how much of this falls on Bruno?
Yeah, that's not a bad question.
Right? And really... like it seems almost blasphemous to say, like, how dare you pin any of this on Bruno? But like, like we might have to talk about Bruno.
There have been moments throughout the season when we've attributed a little bit of Modena's struggles to Bruno, so it's not like we're above that. But I'm really curious to see how they deal with a team that can serve the way Perugia can, because Milano was not nearly the challenge in reception that Perugia will be, and that'll be very curious. But I think it's time to move on to the like if you didn't think 15-13 in the fifth to advance was a banger, fortunately we delivered you 25-22. Or 24-22 in the fifth.
Rob, can you hear it?
What's that? Is it Aaron Russell out of the clouds?
They freed Fat Ron.
Yes.
They freed Fat Ron. They did. Finally, that stooge Piazza, how he ever won Coach of the Year last year is absolutely beyond me.
This is Bernardi we're talking about. Piazza's the Milano guy. But
sorry, you're right. Bernardi. Okay, well, like Dumb and Dumber, Tweedledee and Tweedledum over there.
But yeah, Bernardi is top on my stooge list this year. Without Heinen in the league, I think it goes Bernardi, Stoichev, Piazza in that order.
Yeah, okay, you're definitely not wrong.
All
season long, we've been talking about it. All season long. When are we going to see Aaron Russell? Maybe Aaron Russell's injured. Maybe he's not good anymore. What happens? He gets the start. 28 points. Oh no, wait, 33
points.
64% kill percentage, just absolutely goes off. 5 aces, only 4 errors, 51 passing positive percent on like 37%, 30% perfect. The dude was an absolute monster.
Oh my God. I cannot tell you how happy this made me to see Aaron Russell get that opportunity and capitalize the way he did. Oh my goodness. I mean, 28 for 44, 5 errors total. That's above 50% efficiency in 5 sets where it went 24-22 and he was the best player on your team and everyone knew it. 5 aces. This is like World Cup 2015 MVP Aaron Russell. This is like Club World Championships with Trentino MVP Aaron Russell. Like that was a masterclass. He was OTing people down on the line at multiple moments that just made me like throw my phone across the In-N-Out Burger in Arizona where I was watching this game. It was it was incredible. And now the rest of Piacenza played phenomenally well also. Like Francesco Raccini, 17 for 28, very good. Tonček Stern off the bench in the second, 17 for 32 with only 4 errors. He was awesome. Antoine Brizard set a really good game. Eduardo Kaneski with the match-sealing stuff block on Matej Kaczynski at 24-22 in the fifth. Like Piacenza, man, maybe a little too late, but the offseason that they had and some of the pieces they put together, maybe, just maybe, finally showing up.
Too late. I don't know. Like they might be turning on right at the perfect time. I think Guizal set a fantastic game. Maybe one of the best we've seen from him all season. You're right, Raccini looked fantastic. Like,
he was so good.
Every single piece of it. They had 13 aces. 13 aces is incredible.
13 aces is a huge number, enormous number.
Compared to what is it, 7 on Perugia side now, like, or Trentino side, like, and it even is even more than that, because if you look at okay, no, never mind. Scratch what I was about to say. But still, 13 aces compared to 7 is massive. And like, I don't know the way that Piacenza played in this one, and specifically what Aaron Russell is bringing to the table. And like, let's be real. No one has any film on Aaron Russell right now. No one knows what he's going to do.
That's a pretty good point.
And so, like, do you not think that Trentino is not shitting themselves because they didn't play terribly, right? They weren't awful in this one, but Piacenza was just rolling. And I mean, like, this is a team that on paper should be really good, right? And the fact that you still have Thibaut Gasol to come off the bench, right? Like, there's like Lagumgia could be way better.
Yeah, he didn't play well, and I got to give credit to Bernardi here in. Well, he finally started Aaron Russell. That was good, but then he left the leash at a reasonable length for Lagumgia when he wasn't playing well. Now, my only question is, does he roll with Aaron Russell again this weekend? Because if he doesn't,
he has to. Okay, you have to. There's no way he's going to let him drop 33 points.
I might fly to Italy and commit assault if he leaves Aaron Russell on the bench to start the next match. I
You
swear.
like, and I mean, especially for this Piacenza team that's bringing in some big ticket items for next season, like most notably Robert Landy Simone, right? Like
It's a pretty big ticket one.
if they have a good run, because like think about it, if they can win this round, what's happening? Like Lube is Lube this season, right? They've had their ups and downs, right? Are they going to be able to keep up with like an upstart Aaron Russell and Addis Ogunje or Tonchek Stern, like whoever it may be? Like this is a team that could be dangerous, and they can sneak themselves into like a Champions League spot for next season.
That would be incredible. That would just be
Right? Like,
incredible. And you're
like
not
we,
wrong about any of that. All of that is completely possible because on the Trentino side, the one piece that they've been really missing significantly, and this includes the Champions League match that they were able to beat Perugia in, is that third wing. Daniele Lavia, 8 for 22, 4 errors. He is not 100%, and I can't overstate how important he is because without him, like Pinali is a total non-factor attacking. He's a good blocker and an okay server, but you just can't rely on him offensively for anything. So without that one more piece, Trentino really has a significant weakness. And now, so Micheletto's attacking numbers were slightly less good than usual, 12 for 34. He did have 4 aces, which is insane. Kaziski was outstanding, 21 for 38, and one of his only errors was on match point there getting blocked. The middles are both good. Pedraskinen 10 for 11 is ridiculous. Lisinac 10 for 15, very good with 4 blocks and an ace. So, like Trentino, the only thing they need is for either Lavia or Pernali to have a match where they can contribute. But I'm not convinced that that's going to happen, especially because they have to play Perugia in Champions League tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday, and then turn around
they're not
and
getting
on
any rest.
Sunday play Piacenza again to stay alive in the Italian playoffs. Now, both those matches are at home for Trentino, so that definitely helps their cause. But that is a serious challenge, and I certainly wouldn't pick them to beat Perugia tomorrow. And I think it's kind of a toss-up right now against Piacenza in that last match, and that's going to be amazing.
No, it kind of feels like Trentino emptied the tank last week against Perugia in Champions
It
League,
does feel that
and
way.
and that they're gonna, like that like this is gonna be a tired Trentino team comes when is it Sunday when they play this match,
Sunday.
because like that's gonna be like like four games in 2 weeks. And I mean, by North American sports standards, that's nothing, right? Like that could be a week for one of our teams, right? You play a back to back and whatever, but still, like that's going to be a lot of jumps and a lot of swings on these guys, and like Piacenza is at home, they're training, they're resting up. It's not going to look good for Trentino in these next 2 matches. Like I think we might have seen the last bit of magic from them that we've seen this season.
Yeah, that's very possible. And I mean, everybody loves a Cinderella story. And I've loved watching this Trentino team this year, but the way Piacenza played the other day, the fact that they could just come out of the clouds and perhaps grab a Champions League spot for next year, that would really just kind of shake up all of European volleyball and all of Italian volleyball. And I'm kind of here for it. I think that would be quite the storyline, especially as you and Dan talked about the imminent funding decreases of Lube Civitanova. They're probably not going to be the powerhouse that they've been. Could Piacenza catch lightning in a bottle for 2 weeks and accelerate their potential ascendancy to the top of Italy? That would be just amazing. So there's a lot to look forward to this week about all that.
Is Piacenza the Team Canada from soccer that in volleyball, like getting into the promised land before you're scheduled to?
Congratulations to Canada along with the USA for getting to the World Cup in soccer. I do not care about that in any way whatsoever. I think soccer is a stupid game, but I'm proud of our countries. Moving right along. Speaking of Perugia versus Trentino, we have not had a show since this match took place last week. You and Dan did a good job talking about it on the podcast, but I wanted to go over this really quickly because this was by far my favorite match that I've ever commentated personally. And it was one of the most fun matches of the season and one of the most fun matches I've ever seen. Trentino in sets 1 and 3 just escaped. They were so clutch late. They Marco Pedrashin and roofed Matt Anderson to win that first set. I think they had a stuff block to win the third set as well. And then in the most pivotal of moments when it would have changed everything if Trentino had been able to win the match in 4 because of how it's set up for the match tomorrow. Wilfredo Leon, who, as you guys talked about, was not having his best match, ripped 3 aces in a row that almost made me I almost blew out this microphone from screaming so hard into it when he went on that service run. And then he ripped an ace at 30-28 to win the set. Of course he did. He's Wilfredo freaking Leon. That pushed it to 5, and even though Trentino won the match in 5, that really kind of saved the day for Perugia. That match was just amazing. It was amazing. And the return leg tomorrow in Trento is going to be nuts.
I don't think so. I don't.
Really? You're that high on Perugia?
No, it's not that I'm that high on Perugia. I think Trento emptied the tank. I think that this is a team that's battered and bruised. Like, Lavia is not getting any better right now. Penali isn't getting any better, and we don't even know if he's injured, but he's just been kind of bad, right? Like he hasn't been good.
So Penali's just not that high of a ceiling of a player. I'm just curious to see if Lavia can start the whole match, because like he started the whole match against Piacenza on Sunday, but this one in Champions League he didn't start at all. He came in off the bench a couple times, and that was it.
So, but like you're telling me that he's gonna have gotten that much better since, when was it, Saturday? Like 4 or 5 days later. Like, I don't know. Like I just could see this like Perugia is gonna go into beast mode, right? Leon's probably gonna score. Like, Leon's gonna score 25 plus, and it like Perugia is gonna do everything they can to move on, and they're going to silence that Trentino crowd big time. I think Trentino used up all of their magic to beat Perugia last weekend.
I think they may have, and yeah, if they get Wilfredo Leon playing any better at all than he did last week, they're definitely dead. Leon's stat line: 29 points, 20 for 49. Oh my goodness, 20 for 49. 20 for 49 with 5 errors, and he definitely woke up late. The beginning of the match, he wasn't as good. 4 aces and 5 stuff blocks. He had 5 stuff blocks. That's insane. And you guys were right to criticize the play of Matt Anderson on the show the other day, because and Rick Liskey, by the way, I think was Perugia's best player in that match. He was awesome. 22 for 33 with 2 errors. That's like 65% efficiency. It's amazing.
He was fantastic. And I mean, I've been on the Trippy train for a long time, and we've talked about this. But can we address your comment of Matt Anderson, who's both a top 5 players, both the opposite and the left side position? Because that's a pop. There's no way that, especially like you were getting some flack on the Discord after that one.
Literally in the middle of commentating a game.
Because you jinxed, and like Matt Anderson started that match good, right? Like, he started the match real strong, and then you said that, and he just started tanking. You jinxed him.
So here are my thoughts on Matt Anderson. First of all, once upon a time, there was a time in the not so distant past that he was a top 5 player in the world at both positions. The only complaint I've ever had about him, as one of my favorite players of all time, is that he does not play aggressively enough. He, especially when he plays the outside hitter position, all he tries to do is hit the ball high off the fingertips. He hits deep cross court, and he hits high flat down the line. He is 6'10", and once upon a time touched probably 12'4" if not even a little bit higher. He's one of the great athletes when he was in his prime in the volleyball world. He was so measurably athletic and so skilled, and he never used that frame and those natural athletic gifts to actually ever hit the ball into the court ever. He's always been so like locked into a mindset of being smart and conservative. And he's just too conservative for my taste, especially in this role. He's embraced the L2 role. Like he's very much the third of the 3 wing scorers on Perugia. But there are times, Matt Anderson, when I'm like, man, you're better than this. I know that you can hit these shots. You can hit 4-4. You can turn and crank the ball down the line. You can see a seam and exploit it and hit the ball to the floor instead of hitting high fingertips and deep cross court. Those have been his only shots on the left side for the last 5 years of his club career. And that bothers me a little bit because as good of a server as he is, he actually played good position 6 defense. The same this too conservative idea for Anderson also applies as a blocker. He does this stupid passive shuffle, like barely jump move when he blocks on both wings. And he is not as good, not nearly good enough of a blocker for the frame and the skill that he has. He makes this really passive and conservative, simple shuffle jump move. He does not swing block, and he should. He is not aggressive enough of a blocker. He is not a factor in that area. He made one just horrible block move that I remember against Micheletto on when he was on the right side in row 1 this match. That I'm like, how do you not know the ball's going to him? You remember this one?
I do remember that one. Yeah, I do remember that one. You even made a comment on it.
I did. I said it in real time. So it's the thing for Anderson is not his capability. It's his mindset of being too conservative for me. That's been the way it's been the last couple of years. And I would like to see him it's probably too late in his career for him to shift that. But
oh, absolutely. Like let's be honest. We're probably seeing the downward, we're probably going to see. I expect to see a little uptick at some point in the next year or two, but we're probably seeing like the downward decline of Matt Anderson, right?
He's again one of my favorite players of all time. I absolutely love Anderson. I've always loved watching him play. He's been truly a do-it-all player, but
absolutely,
he's probably not a top 5 outside or opposite in the world anymore. Once upon a time, he was. And
once upon a time, yes, but definitely not anymore. My question is, do we see Matt Anderson at the end of it all pull a Taylor Sander and go to the beach?
I don't think so.
I think it would be. I think it would be nasty.
Oh, he would be disgusting.
He would be nasty on the beach. He has the ball control. He has the shots. He has the size. Like, just be a blocker. Get a fast guy behind you. Like Taylor Crabb says, buys Taylor Sander. I'm gonna go play with Matt Anderson.
If anything, I think what Anderson would pair with either of the two Taylors better than each other would. I don't see it. Anderson does not have a beach background. I mean, he's from Buffalo, New York, for God's sakes. Like, certainly did not grow up in a beach volleyball community, and I don't think
Ontario.
I mean, for what 15 days out of the year, maybe get real.
Toronto, which is more north of that, has more beach volleyball courts than anywhere but Copacabana in the world. So, like, pay us some respect.
Yeah, I hope you really take advantage of those in your 15 days out of the year where that's
people
reasonable.
Are out there right now. It was like 10 degrees out there. People
anyway.
Out there.
I don't see Anderson switching to the beach. I see Anderson twilighting a little bit in the VLA at the end of his career. He's we've heard some rumors around him and Team LVC once he gets back stateside for good. So that would be dope. But I don't see him switching to the beach personally. I do expect him to play a little bit better in the return leg of Champions League tomorrow, which once again I'll be on the mic for. So I'm excited to call that game tomorrow in Trento. I think that's 2:30 p.m. Eastern on Thursday the 7th. We'll have the European Volleyball show before, but also going on tomorrow is the return leg of this. And there's not nearly as much to talk about here because of how completely and utterly Zaksa destroyed Jastrzębski last week. They destroyed them.
It's not like I mean, you guys were so high on JW.
Nope, I picked Zaksa. That is Dan. I picked Zaksa.
Okay, you're right. Okay, so, but you were like Dan was high on JW. People in the comments were high on JW. People in the Discord were high on JW, and I was like, guys, it's Zaksa. Like, it's not going to happen. I mean, yes, you did pick Zaksa, but you weren't as emphatic towards Zaksa as I was. But yeah, I think Zaksa is turning it on, and I think JW is like, if they get Yuri Glider back, that may be a different story. If we see that crazy Ukrainian coming in, I think he just brings an energy.
Oh, I agree, and I love
something about like the looks that he gives. Like last year when we watched him in the finals, man, he turned it on, and it was so much fun to watch.
Yeah,
but I just don't see JW. Like, I don't think Dan and I already talked about it.
You guys already talked about it. Yeah, like just to reiterate a couple of the things that you guys said. Zaksa over 50% efficiency as a team.
Yeah.
Good night.
Crazy.
That's it. Also, Zaksa beat JW again in the PlusLiga, I think, on Saturday.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure JW played their bench, but that was another sweep. So they're going to play 3 times in 8 days, and I think Zaxa tomorrow at home is a heavy, heavy, heavy favorite. I really think they've silenced a lot of the doubters or the people that were on the JW bandwagon for a second there. I think they've put that to bed largely. The only way JW has a chance is if I think they've got to start Boyer, and I think if Glatter plays, they might get lucky, and Klevano is going to have to play significantly better. And that's just I don't think the stars are going to align for them. I think it's Zaxa versus Perugia in the finals.
No. Yeah. I think we've already spent too much time talking on it, to be honest, because the defending champs are going to be going to the semis.
Yep, I agree. So the matchups tomorrow, I think Zaxa is 2 p.m. Eastern, Trentino and Perugia are 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow, that's on Eurovolley TV and on YouTube if you pay the CV $5 to become a member, which is actually a better deal than Eurovolley TV. So I personally recommend that one. And we'll be going live for the European Volleyball Show tomorrow at 1:30 Eastern, just to go over all this stuff just a little bit more. So moving on with a couple things, just hopping elsewhere around Europe before we get to some national team sort of news. The Bundesliga is well into their playoffs. There were 2 semifinal matches actually today. Friedrichshafen beat Düren in 5 in what was a really good match, and they ended up sweeping that best-of-5 series to go to the finals. Berlin dropped a surprising 5-setter to Frankfurt last week, but they responded by sweeping them today, so they lead 2-1 in that other semifinal. I don't really have that much to take from this. I was a little surprised that Berlin dropped the match, but I think it's going to be Berlin versus Friedrichshafen in the finals like we kind of expected.
Like we've all kind of expected, like we've always seen,
The standard annual matchup.
The standard annual matchup. And I mean, Friedrichshafen did manage to take that semifinal in the German Cup against Berlin. But other than that, it's been Berlin domination throughout this whole season. I mean, I am also surprised they took lost a set to Frankfurt there. I haven't had a chance to check out the box score or anything like that, so I don't have really much insight on it.
It was in 5. They Frankfurt was up 2-0. Berlin came back and forced the 5th, but then lost in the 5th 15-9. And I don't know what lineup they played. I didn't see any of the match, but so some of the guys in the Discord were saying that Frankfurt just really caught fire that day. So credit to them. But
there's a Swiss kid who used to play here in Canada. He played for Brandon University, who's really good for them. What's his name? Damn it! Why
Frankfurt?
I
don't know. I wish I knew. I don't know much about their team, but yeah, anyway, Bundesliga playoffs. I just wanted to give that a little shout out. I don't have that many takes on that, except that I still pick Berlin to win it all, and I'm assuming you do too.
When's that last game or is that next game for Berlin and Frankfurt? I'm guessing it's gonna be Saturday.
It's probably this weekend because the last match was today. Yeah, Saturday. You're correct.
Cool. Well, check that one out. Once again, if you guys haven't checked out the broadcast yet for the Bundesliga over on Twitch, that bounce house is going on. Literally, it's hands down the best broadcast in volleyball. So you guys,
by far, they're doing such a good job. So modern, so fun, so engaging. It makes me wish I spoke German fluently so I could really get engaged with it. It's awesome. So
yeah,
credit to those guys. Speaking of playoffs almost being set, this is the look at currently the PlusLiga. Every team is done in the regular season except Zaxa, JW, and Gdansk. They have some makeup matches to play. Gdansk had a COVID outbreak that happened to postpone their matches against both Zaxa and JW, so they'll make up matches against both Zaxa and JW in the next week or so. Everything else is set. So top 8 make the playoffs in Poland. Then when they'll draw the quarterfinals just like Italy. Then when the quarterfinal losers, those 5 teams join places 9 through 12, and the 8 of them then play a little placement thing. But Gdansk is not technically dead yet to make the playoffs, but they're going to have to beat one or maybe both of Zaxa and JW, and I'm not sure I see that happening. That would knock either Warszawa or Katowice out. But Olsztyn, Rzeszów, Zawiercie, Skra, and then, of course, Zaxa and JW have clinched playoff spots. Stalnica definitely relegated. Radom definitely done for the season in 13th, but at least they survive in the league. So just wanted to point out the fact that the PlusLiga is pretty much done except for a couple late makeup games, and their playoffs will start shortly thereafter.
Yeah, I mean, it's a one-horse show, I think, in the PlusLiga this year. I don't think JW is going to come in, sneak in like they did against Zaxa, but maybe they will. Like last year, they surprised us all. For me, it's looking at Warszawa and sitting in 8th. I mean, that was a Champions League team and a team that we had so much promise for.
They really underperformed. They
really, really underperformed, and I mean, probably because you didn't free play Jay Blankino, and you kept him on the bench behind Angel de Trinidad. But hey, you know what? They're going to be going into the playoffs. They're going to have to take on Doxa in the first round, and yeah, I mean, it'll be good. We'll have Jay back in Canada a little bit earlier.
Right. The interesting part about this, I think, will be who gets that third Champions League spot from the PlusLiga, and that's going to be, I think, the interesting battle in the semis. Maybe it's Skra. I think they're the third best team in the league by a wide margin, but maybe Resovia continues to get hot. Maybe, I don't know, Olsztyn, Xavier, who knows? But that's important to note, that it's not only the PlusLiga that's on the line, that I think Zox is the prohibitive favorite for, but there will be 3 teams from Poland in Champions League, just like there are every year, and that third spot is definitely on the line, assuming that JW does enough to grab the second one. So that's about it for that. Last thing before we get to some major international news is it is a massive weekend for the Volleyball League of America. The VLA will be in 2 different places at once. The first will be just across the border from Everett in Toronto. We will be in Western New York in suburban Buffalo. I will be there for the East Division Cup, an 8-team tournament, 2 pools of 4, pretty straight up format. I'm really looking forward to this because I love the facility there at Niagara Frontier. But the nice part about it is that SoCal Ruckus, who's won each of the last 3 VLA Cup Series tournaments, will not be there. So it's a wide open door for anybody to come in and grab a tournament win. LVC, I would say, is the favorite, but Boston Bounce is going to be good. Chicago Swede and River City Flow out of Tier 2 are going to be good. So that's going to be a great tournament going on all weekend in Buffalo. And then at the exact same time, the VLA will also be in Louisville, Kentucky. At the JVA World Challenge, JVA Junior Volleyball Association, they govern a lot of gigantic juniors tournaments. This one is the biggest, probably the biggest juniors tournament other than nationals that there is. So just thousands and thousands and thousands of spectators, and it'll be just a Central Division regular season event. So Chicago Icemen, Indiana Team Pineapple, and then the Milwaukee Dive playing up from Tier 2, just a double round robin there. So those matches will not be streamed on the internet, but we're going to record them and then do little watch parties for them after the fact, which will be cool. But all the matches for Buffalo will be streamed on the VLA YouTube channel. So check all that out. Check the last couple episodes of Around the VLA out for more about these 2 events. But the VLA is going to have a huge growth spike this weekend, having an impact in 2 places at once. So I'm looking forward to that. I personally will be in Buffalo, but I've set the Central Division guys have got everything they need to run a great event down there. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm sad our Toronto team pulled out. A bunch of stooges, if you ask me. Suk, get your boys in line.
Yeah, they had issues with their roster and crossing the border, but they'll be at the big VLA Cup in Indiana in May.
Yeah, hopefully they will and redeem themselves a little bit. But yeah, should be fun. But yeah, moving on, and I mean, I thought we were gonna start the show with this, but some big news out of the FIVB regarding the Olympic qualification process. And I think it's. Do you want to break it down, or?
Yeah, so I'll break it down, and I apologize for not having a visual for this, but I'll describe it to you guys the best I can. So the process by which you qualify for the Olympics has been pretty much the same over the last 20 years or so. Tokyo is a little bit weirder because they used to use the World Cup as a qualifier, but the World Cup was in Japan, and you couldn't have Japan in a team that was already qualified in an Olympic qualifier. So they made it a little bit different with the Olympic qualification tournaments that they ran. Turns out now, with a pretty significant shift in how Olympic qualification is going to work, it's a little bit more like what we saw this last time. So still 12 teams in the field for both the men's and the women's side in the Olympics. For indoor volleyball, beach volleyball is completely different. So you still get in as the host, obviously. So France will be in for Paris, men's and women's. Then you will have 3 Olympic qualification tournaments for each gender. 3 for the men, 3 for the women. These will be in September, like late September and early October of 2023. That's 3 tournaments each, 3 pools of 8, which is a little bit weird. I don't love 3 pools of 8.
It's classic volleyball. Like, hey, we're gonna make you play a million games
It's a
in a short
full.
period of
Let, let,
time.
let me
Like,
let me continue, and then we can get to our complaints because there are plenty of them. So 3 Olympic qualification tournaments per gender, 3 pools of 8. They'll seed them like a snake. So they'll seed the 3 hosts, and then they'll go strictly by world rankings 1 through 24 after that. So the 24 top ranked teams in the world as of September 2023 will get to play those Olympic qualification tournaments. 3 pools of 8. Each pool will play a full round robin. So each team will play the other 7 teams once, and that's it. And the top 2 teams in each of those 3 pools of 8, which is 6 teams total, get Olympic berths.
mhm.
So that make those 6 plus the hosts, that makes 7 teams. After that, it just goes straight down the line of world rankings as of after the preliminary phase of VNL 2024. So that's mid-June of 2024. The FIVB will just take a snapshot of what the world rankings are at that point, and they will go, all right, next 5 teams up in the rankings that haven't already qualified, congratulations, you're in the Olympics.
Nice.
The exception to that is there will be at least 1 team per continent. So Africa is the only one that is the most likely to not have a team qualify in any of the other ways by either winning one of the top 2 in one of the tournaments or being high enough in the world rankings. But there will be at least 1 African team for both the men's and the women's. So they'll probably get just like a free bid. Basically, whoever the top team ranking is in Africa in June of 2024, it will go to the Olympics. But then there will be 4 others that will go to just the top 4 ranked teams in the world elsewhere at that time. I hope that makes a lot of sense. That part of it I like. I don't like that last chance desperation tournament they used to have that got Mexico into the Olympics in 2012. That was a
No,
massive waste, or 2016,
2016.
sorry. That was a
Yeah.
massive waste. This you won't get a Venezuela tier team out of this like we did last Olympics where Argentina and Brazil qualified internationally. There was a South America only event, so they took like the distant 3rd best team in South America.
Mhm.
We don't have that problem. I think this puts a lot less pressure on teams in Europe because they previously had the most difficult road to qualify. Now it's just the best teams in the world. I think this in general does a better job of selecting the best 12 teams in the world.
Yeah,
However,
I do
the,
too.
the format of that Olympic qualification tournament where the teams will play 7 matches in 9 days
Ridiculous.
is
It's
absurd.
classic. It's classic volleyball.
It's
It's
absurd.
classic volleyball being like, you love volleyball so much, we're gonna shove it down your throat, and you're gonna like it. Like it's too much. It's just really what it is. It's like Nations League. Like it's crazy. We're gonna have 6 days of matches in Nations League at the beginning of June. Like I feel bad for Volleyball Canada for having to sell matches for like tickets for
Tickets
matches,
for
but
6 days.
like for 6 days like that. Like it's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be the same for this as well. Like it, having less matches promotes more meaningful matches. The fact that we have these massive wide open tournaments, it's just like when do matches like there's so many quote unquote meaningful matches in volleyball that none of them matter for anything, right? Until we're at the
Great
Olympics,
point.
like
They're
it's just
oversaturating.
it's just over an oversaturated market because you're going to tell me that that's that year, right? We're gonna have a world championship, and we're gonna have in 2022 we're having VNL and a world championship, and then in 2023 we're gonna have VNL and a continental championship, and then these qualifiers. Like it's just gonna be too much. Like
It's too much.
it's gonna be too much. But I also agree. I do like the change up. Like we're not going to get any random teams anymore. We're going to be promoting the best teams. Like how many times have we seen teams like Serbia or like whoever it may be, like one of
Yeah,
those
getting yeah.
outskirt, and even at the same time, like looking at it from an Ortica point of view, like if not if, but when Cuba figures their shit out and they become a powerhouse like they were again, I know Ronnie is going to be happy to hear that. Um, like the Norseca is going to be dangerous, right? That's going to be a three-headed beast that like I don't know who you can give like the best team to, right? So
Well,
if
there
all three
won't
of those
there won't be like a tournament like the one where Canada qualified for
yeah,
Tokyo, where you had to beat Cuba in the final of that tournament. There
there
won't
won't
be
be
a
that.
tournament like that. That does not exist. It's straight world ranking points. And I think actually that hurts Cuba because they're not quite at
100%.
the world ranking threshold where they're playing a lot of events. I think they're going to have a huge performance at world championships to give themselves a
It's
chance to get into that top 24 next year.
it's truly a rich get richer scenario
It
right now,
is.
right? Like
And
that's exactly what it is. If you're not playing VNL, you're screwed.
you're screwed. Oh yeah, unless you can do just some incredible things like really overperform at world championships. The top 24 in the world are not going to change that much between now and September of next year because the only
No.
tournaments that are happening until then are VNL World Championships, then VNL again. And there are so many teams that probably deserve to be in that conversation, like a Cuba, for example, that aren't going to get the opportunity to move up high enough in that time with only those tournaments happening.
But
Now,
it's
I do like the fact that the FIVB is at least incentivizing now better performance at VNL because VNL we've talked about it a lot that generally is a useless and purposeless tournament.
but
Now
I
it is
think
less so. It is more important now than it was. That's not
but I
debatable.
think that's the but I agree it's not debatable. I think that's to the detriment of volleyball, right? Because right now, what the like it's less than 3 weeks from Champions League finals um the start of Nations League, and the start of Nations League now has a direct impact on whether or not you're going to be able to go to the Olympics. So teams can't rest their best players, right? We're once again heading down towards a path where we're going to burn our athletes out. And I
We're
think
really
that's
running them into the
right.
ground.
Like
It's crazy.
we're really running them into the ground. Plus, on top of that, when you consider the fact that Korea, who's not a top team on the men's side, is part of VNL as not a challenger team, but a like top team because they pay enough money. We can't ignore the fact that the VNL isn't necessarily created off of merit. Like, yeah,
No,
sure, they
it's
have
not.
they have that they have that ability with the Challenger Cup and all of that thing, and you can get relegated and whatnot, but only certain teams can get relegated, right? Canada could conceivably finish not in last place, but because they're one of the challenger teams, if they're the lowest ranked challenger team, they're going to get relegated, right? So I have some issues with it in that way that it's literally like a rich get richer scenario, and we're
Yeah,
not going to like thank God like a team like Slovenia is in, but like what good European teams are on the outside in like Turkey. Sorry,
Turkey. Yep.
there goes your dream to go to the Olympics, and like hey, all your best teams are going to ride your players.
Yeah, yeah. It's in general not good for volleyball, but it is slightly better for the VNL tournament for what it's worth, I guess. I don't care about that very much. I will always watch VNL because I love international volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
What I fell in love with early on in the game is the national team. That's what I want to watch. Now, the format of VNL needs to change for sure. It's just not a well structured tournament, including the whole challenger layer crap that ever just talked about. But I like that at least that they're taking a step to making it matter a little bit more, and then hopefully they take a step to reformatting it to be more reasonable. The format this year is just not very good. We talked about it a lot, and we'll preview it more as national team season gets closer. But that's a pretty good summary of at least now how you qualify for the Olympics. It's significantly more based on world ranking and much less based on continent, which in general I think is a good thing. But
Agreed.
I think they've got to award like continental championships, for example, like not continental Olympic qualifiers because those don't exist anymore, but continental championships like a Euro volley, like Norsika's, like Africa, Asia, South America. Those national team tournaments should matter more for world rankings.
They know.
Norsika in particular, because I am sick and tired of watching every Norsika team send their C teams to those events. If those mattered more for world rankings, you would
You're not
see
wrong.
much better volleyball. And Norsika in particular, where Everett and I both live, that Norsika Federation is just embarrassing. But if those
I
if
could
those
tell you
boy, I'm
stories.
sure you could. But if those tournaments mattered at least more for world ranking points, teams would take them more seriously, and that would be better for everyone.
And also remember too that And now with the change of the world ranking system, it's not just based off of tournament results. Literally, your world ranking changes per match.
Every
Not
match.
necessarily
That's right.
changes, but your score, like your score, it changes based off of like the opponent that you played. And there's so many variables now. So it just puts that much. It's such a volleyball move. Let's make every single match as important as possible, and we're going to give you a million of them, so no match is important, and no match is meaningful. Every match is meaningful, so none of them are meaningful.
Yep. Well said.
That's
There's so
that's
much,
volleyball in a nutshell.
such a fundamentally bad way to do it, but those are the changes, and that's the way it is. So that's kind of that Olympic qualification process will be the overarching storyline of the next 2 years. Definitely the next year and a half, because those tournaments will take place next fall of 2023. But then the rankings as of June 2024 will decide the remaining 5 Olympic teams. So that's really going to dominate these next 2 summers.
Less than 10 months after the last Olympics have ended, we're already starting the next qualification cycle.
And that's fine. That's fine, because this is a 3-year quad instead of 4. This is not a normal quad. That's okay. That's okay.
But it's we're only going to see negative results on our athletes because of it.
All right. So speaking of VNL, a couple updates on VNL, just to wrap the show up. We've been wondering, because of the forfeits of the Russian teams in the tournaments and the fact that they're pulling the events out of Russia hosting. We've needed one host country/city on the men's and the women's side, and one team on the men's and the women's side to participate in VNL this year. And it seems like all of that has been settled. So on the women's side, exactly like we predicted on this show, the Bulgarian women's national team will step in and play in this summer's Volleyball Nations League. Also, the city of Sofia, Bulgaria, will host the Women's Volleyball Nations League. I think they'll do that exactly a week after hosting the men's VNL, which is great. So it sets up for them very nicely in a great volleyball country. So I think that's a good move. We talked a while ago about Tunisia taking the last spot as the team participating in men's VNL, which will basically cement them as the African team in the Olympics for the foreseeable future. And Gdansk, Poland, will be hosting the other leg of men's VNL instead of whatever Russian city it was. So it's good to have another city in Europe host VNL. There wasn't nearly enough going on before. So that basically settles things for VNL in terms of the 16-team field and all the 6 host cities. We still don't know where the finals are going to be hosted for either gender, but at least we can get a full schedule out for the preliminary rounds now.
Yeah, and thank God, it's about time. The FIVB, I wish they would have been swifter with this. Just come out with the decision right away. But I mean, hey, nothing happens quick in volleyball land. But yeah, I mean, I like you said. I also agree. As much as I find VNL useless, I'm excited for it to happen.
Yeah, me too.
Especially since we get to kick things off in Ottawa.
Yeah, Ottawa's going to be unbelievable. So that second week of June there, if you're at all capable of being in Ottawa for that, you're going to want to be there for a lot of reasons that will be announced in the near future. So, before we end the show, please tell the lovely people about BetUS.
Well, if you guys like sports, you might like betting on sports. It's too bad you just missed March Madness. Congratulations to Kansas for taking it home, but
the Kansas City Jayhawks.
The Kansas City Jayhawks.
As literally the president of the NCAA rewarded them the trophy and called them the Kansas City Jayhawks. Unbelievable.
Who's a bigger stooge, Mark Emmert of the NCAA, or Rob Manfred of the MLB?
That is a hot race. I would give it to Manfred by a narrow margin. Both stooges.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway,
but yeah, BetUS is America's favorite sports book. It's been around since 1994. They are the true OGs, and we're going to give you a deal that basically no one can compare. When you use the code Volley125 when depositing $100 or more, and in BetUS, you will get 125% deposit bonus. So you put in $100, you're going to come out with $225. It's literally free money, guys. Plus, you're going to bet on stuff. You're going to win. You're going to hit big, and you're going to make more money. Who knows? Maybe you'll be able to pay for our trip to VNL, and you can come buy us all beers. But yeah, make sure you check it out. The link to that is down in the notes below on this YouTube link. Click that. Use the code Volley125 for 125% deposit bonus upon sign up.
Yep, definitely use that code Volley125. Another very notable betting event this weekend is the Masters. If you're a golf, if you're,
Ooh,
if you're
absolutely.
a golf fan like I am, you're very excited about that. But in addition to the Masters, which I've heard rumblings that there is a certain large cat that will be participating in the field this year. The return of Tiger Woods, which
He's
is
on the prowl,
insane.
baby. He's on the prowl.
There's also an unbelievable amount of volleyball going on. So there's Champions League men's tomorrow, Thursday, both legs. We will know our finalists by this time tomorrow. There's the Piacenza Trentino tiebreaker this weekend, I believe Saturday or Sunday, which is going to be amazing. And then a lot of other leagues going on with playoffs, and it's just a packed season. So join the Discord. The link is in the description below. For the best community on the planet of people to just meme and make fun of volleyball and watch volleyball about. We were popping off on that VakuFbank Golden set today. We were super active, so that was really fun.
I'm sad I missed that.
It was really, really fun. So yeah, definitely join the Discord. It will transform your volleyball watching life. And we'll be back next week, probably Tuesday, back to our normal time for next week on the 9x9.
Yes, definitely back to our normal time next week. We'll have things under control by next week, hopefully, with all the technical difficulties. Hopefully, we go back to a 3-man show next week as well. We'll have Mr. Dan Neely from 5-1 Volleyball join us.
Well, thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for surviving our little late start in Everett's technical difficulties, but I think that was a very, very good show nonetheless. Thanks for watching. Follow all the things we told you to follow, and we will see you next week.
Peace, guys.